community outreach, because in the grants that we submitted tonight, we have 5 grants total, and they sort of break us out into different departments, or we always say community outreach is the big organization, and all of the grants that we are proposing tonight are from different programs within that big organization. So ultimately, community outreach has been providing for the basic human needs of the Mid-Willamette Valley's homeless and poor since 1971. We turned 40 this year. We've been stabilizing those in crisis, feeding the hungry, housing the homeless, healing the sick, counseling the mentally ill and the substance addicted, sort of a little bit of everything. We believe everybody needs to be treated and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their personal circumstance, and offered the skills, knowledge, and assistance they need to turn their lives around. Our mission statement, or what we live by, is helping people help themselves. And that's sort of the focus of what we do at community outreach. We have a total of 10 different programs, as you'll see on your sheet, and they all work together to provide a continuum of care to those in need. This year, we've submitted 5 grant proposals requesting funding for 8 of the 10 programs. The 2 that you won't see in any of those grant proposals are the therapeutic child care or our domestic violence intervention program. Everything else is sort of encapsulated in these grants. So starting with the first grant, we're asking for $54,000 for our emergency services. That grant includes our homeless emergency services. Those services provide access to food, kitchen, showers, including hygiene supplies, mail services, message and phone services, document storage, and access to emergency medical and behavioral health treatment services. Those services are open to anybody in the community, and typically the chronically homeless use those services, come in daily to take showers, get something to eat. They're open for 3 2-hour blocks during the day. We can't keep them open all day long because we don't have enough staff to do that. And then also the crisis information and referral line. It's currently the only 24-hour local hotline. It includes call-in and walk-in. We serve about 8,000 people a year through that hotline. And so that's the first 2 that we're requesting funding for. Our second grant looks at permanent supportive housing, $36,000 for that program. That program is the only program that doesn't operate on site at our 865 Reman Avenue, at the big 10,000 square foot facility. It actually operates downstairs in the Benton Plaza, which is down on Monroe and 5th Street. And what that does, it provides case management to folks who are either severely mentally disabled or suffering from mental illness, or elderly or disabled. And that makes folks, those services provide what's needed to keep people in housing. Because the whole key in all of this is making sure that people stay in permanent housing or find permanent housing. And so a quick statistic is about 2/3 of those people would be homeless within 3 months without this program. And not only do we do case management in terms of helping them pay bills and take their medications and all of those kind of daily reminder things, but we also make sure that they have social interaction with each other, don't isolate themselves, go to different events. Those work with interns to teach nutrition classes, pet walking classes, those kind of things. Integrated housing. That's sort of the core of everything we do, is our housing program. We're asking for $60,000. That's to help cover the cost of the shelter itself. On any given night, there's about 70 men, women, and families staying at community outreach. Of course, this year we've seen an influx of families like no other with the economy and what's going on. And those integrated housing services provide emergency housing, which is 7 days every 90 days. Someone can just come in and stay and then leave. Oftentimes you'll see folks whose car broke down, who have a gap between finding permanent housing, one housing to another type of housing. Or people who just aren't sure what to do next. Fleeing domestic violence is often a typical such scenario for emergency housing. Most times people from emergency housing do come into our transitional housing program, and once you're in transitional housing, you're able to have case management associated with that, and then case management with a bunch of group and life skills classes helps you to sort of navigate the world to make your world a better place. So folks in transitional housing, there is no set time that they're there. There's no set time that you can stay 3 weeks or you can stay 6 months, just depending on your need and how soon you can find permanent housing. Again, the goal of that is permanent housing. And those case management services that are part of transitional housing transfer with you out, so that when you find permanent housing, you can still access all of these services. Food, again, in the core service of community outreach is food. We operate 4 food banks. The community food bank, which is open to anybody in the community. You can get 1 food box every 30 days. And the food boxes We work with Benton Food Share on all of this food, and we follow federal guidelines for those food boxes for the community food boxes. We also offer a shelter food box, a homeless emergency services a shelter food bank, a homeless emergency services kitchen, so that folks can just come in and get something to eat. And then the permanent supportive housing also has a food bank in it. What was I going to say about that? I'm not sure what I was going to say about that, so we'll move on. Food's a good thing, how's that? And then last is our healthcare services, $44,500. That grant, we're asking for money for our medical clinic. The medical clinic operates 4 times a week, 3 times in Corvallis, 1 time in Lebanon. And then we also have specialty clinics, a psychiatric clinic, a chiropractic clinic, diabetes education, physical therapy, and a women's health clinic. Those all operate out of our facility here in Corvallis. And what sets our clinics, oh, see, I remember what I was going to say about food. What sets our food apart and our clinics apart, let's start with food. What sets it apart, because there's a ton of food banks in Corvallis, absolutely, is that we're open every day, all day long, and weekends and holidays. So that's what sets us apart. A lot of times you have foods that you can just get certain times or one day a week or whatever. Because we always have somebody on staff, and it's just right there at the shelter, folks can come get food pretty much whenever they need it. So I'm sorry, that was a good point. The medical clinics, what sets them apart from, say, like the FQHC or the Benton or the health department, is that we are sort of the very lowest lying fruit kind of thing in terms of if you have no money at all, you have no access to health care, that you come to us. And so if you have insurance, we ask that you go somewhere else. We ask for a $5 donation. Oftentimes people don't pay the $5 donation. We work very closely with Samaritan on those clinics so that we can have access to a formulary and medications to give folks if they're needing different prescriptions. We also have a dental program. The dental program, we work with folks at LBCC to see people. And then we have Dental Vans International come to the shelter. We've been averaging about once every 2 months. And every time we have a dental van, we see about 8 clients on the dental van. We're trying desperately to boost that program up to see if we can get a van in once a month at least. So those are the medical portion of our health services. The other 2 are our mental health program and our drug and alcohol program. Both those programs see folks not only in shelter but in the community as a whole. Our drug and alcohol program is intensive outpatient. Our mental health is also intensive outpatient. And all of them, I'm trying to say here. Anyway, all of them we see everybody in the community. I think that's important to know. So our total funding request for everything is $213,000. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
In following up your 7-day, every 90 days, and also your transitional housing, do you have any measurable outcomes of people who are finding stability through your program, stable housing, that you've been able to track?
We do, and that's in the grant, those measurable outcomes. I can give them to you. What I know is last year we were able to place and can still track 50 families, 50 people, individuals, families that found permanent housing. Probably double that, but some people move on, transition, move out. Everything that we do has a measurable outcome. Our outcome models are really important to us because that's how we learn to get better. So pretty good success rate, actually.
I was just going to ask, in your mental health program, how many of the homeless are you serving? Do you see a lot of those coming in?
Like the chronically homeless, we don't. They tend not to fit in kind of that program, I guess. Does that?
Or not to seek?
Yeah, or not to seek it. There's case managers that help the chronically homeless. Okay. Our folks are more, they're sort of med compliant and needing continued group therapy and continued mental health treatment. We work on a sliding scale with that too, so $3 is usually what's something paid.
Real quick question.
Your integrated housing, is that your housing programs all together, or is that?
Yeah, that's your housing program all together.
Question. On your hotline, are you referring people? Are you helping people on the phone? Is it from suicide hotline to here's the phone numbers that you can call to get to this, or?
All of the above. Yeah, it runs the gamut from people walking in and calling in the middle of the night, just depending on
Are you the only hotline out there?
at this point. 211 is coming, and we're hoping to work
Midsummer.
closely. Yeah, midsummer. We will still be the only walk-in service, and that's really important.
Sorry to continue to be the strong arm here. We're already over, Diana. We have more questions, apparently. We will email them to you.
All right.